Lindsay, thank you for those wonderful words, and thank you for the support of council, and the support of council prior to your involvement with it as mayor more recently. To everyone here today, I suppose what I'd like to talk very briefly about, just for a few minutes, before we go over, and we'd love to get you to finish your cups of tea and then come and plant out some of the garden here that you can see behind you. The tube stock and the plants are there, and you can come along with your children or just yourself and be involved, as many of you have been already. But I suppose what I wanted to just briefly talk about today, and it's wonderful that you're all here and supporting this event. The sustainability, the permaculture interpretation garden, as Lindsay said, has been driven for more than 8 years now. It didn't just happen. It's been the collaboration of wonderful people. And Fiona has held strong to a vision, and she's had wonderful people in terms of design and outcomes in Steve and Terry. And they've done a magnificent job on the landscaping work. But it's been that collaboration, but collaboration over 8 years. So it's not like we've had one contractor that comes in and just did a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They've collaborated for a long time, and that's why you've got these outcomes. That's why the interpretive side of this garden is so encouraging. You can go there and learn a lot. And the garden is not finished. This garden has so much space and so much potential to continue. And the role of you perma bees, you are really banking the future of this project, because the more you turn up, the more you raise the priority of this garden, and the more you speak and illustrate to council, who is really us anyway, and that's what we forget. And I bring to your attention a little project that I was filming yesterday with Gardening Australia. We went out to the coal loader project. Now, you may say, oh, that's a bigger budget project. No, to me, what the coal loader represented and what the permaculture interpretation garden represents is horses for courses for different projects in different council areas. Now, that was a big project, but again, it was driven by locals that said, we don't want that site to have massive residential towers on it. It was, again, long lead times. We're talking 10 years that they've fought with this, that they've had to fight policy and really go hard. And that coal loader platform is now the largest publicly accessible rooftop garden in the country. But it is open to everyone. So when I look around and I see the work that you perma bees are doing, and I see the work that Fee and the council and that Steve and Terry and everyone else that's been involved is doing, what I see is this legacy. And it's saying, hey, this is what we do in Randwick. This is where we leave legacy. This is where we instruct. This is where we build the next generation's understanding and appreciation of how to look after the world that they live in. And at the end of the day, this is the world we live in. We can worry about the world out there. We can worry about global warming. But what we really need to get down the nitty-gritty to is global warming, and understanding how us getting our waste, our food waste out of our bins is the most important thing we can do. We can lobby, we can speak to council. That's our gig. That's just us. And we can't go, ooh, what are they doing? Oh, they never listen. Because it's us. And it's just a mirror to us. And what we want, we have to go for. We're currently heading into a period of massive disturbances. They're going to keep rolling in. You only need to look at the waste situation. China has basically turned around and said, we will not wipe, or we will not take your nappies anymore. And that is probably one of the best disturbances we could have. It's thrown councils into a bit of a spin, but that's a good spin, because it means we as constituents need to look and say, are we going to cop an announcement from council saying, well, we're just going to take your recycling to the tip, which is what Ipswich said on Friday. And by the end of Friday, it was like, no, well, okay, we're not going to do that now because the people spoke. The people spoke. And the next big disturbance that's happened recently around a proposal for good reasons, for biosecurity reasons, that the department wanted to fumigate all seeds that come into Australia, which would have effectively wiped out the entire organic industry, given that 95% of organic seed that comes into the country is 95% of seed in the country is organic, is imported. I think you got where I was going. Yeah, it took me a couple of times and I still went around the wrong block, but I think you get it. So it was going to be a blanket approach, just one size fits all. And it's that one size does not fit all. And I bring it back to the permaculture garden, I bring it back to the coal loader and how we adapt to these changes. People got together and said, hey, hang on, you know, and there was petition, but also I said in my public role as a biosecurity educator, I said, get on there and write responses and say, we want alternatives. We don't want to limit, particularly in a time when we need biodiversity. We want a variety of seeds. We don't want to be limiting as we come across more disturbances and potential change. So the massive role that the permaculture garden fills in terms of educating our youth, educating our community around the value of having edible plants, visual and understandable for people to come and say, oh, I could have some of these Dianellas on my nature strip and it's an edible food, but it's also habitat for the birds. So I bring in the natural pest control. I start to integrate pest management along the front of my house, which will then connect with yours and yours and yours. Beautiful catch.
Yeah.
Has anyone got some sandpaper? I'll just adjust the ball a little. Sorry, I said that. Yes, I should. I always go off script anyway. Put that away. Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. See, Fee's great. She always keeps me honest. You know, here's this wonderful opportunity to get the rubber on the road right here. And it's the rubber on the road right here that matters to the residents on the roads around here and on the streets around here. Because we want to see how an edible garden works here. We want to see how a vertical garden works in Randwick, not how one works on a PowerPoint display. And everything you've done here, Fee, is about illustrating to you residents that you can do it. You can have edible plants on your streets, and you should have them. And rest assured, there's going to be challenges because people are far removed from what we see here. I got contacted by someone the other day to say they had a complaint from someone that they had bees in their backyard. They decided to write a letter and put it out to the street, garnered all these responses. With a maximum of 6 responses, the DPI came out and said, you have to get rid of your bees, right? Now, we need to realise that this is fear, right? This is fear. And gardens like this break down fear because they say, come and learn and understand what those bees represent. And the same thing, I had another person say, oh, I'm not allowed to plant a fruit tree on my street because someone could die when they tread on that fruit. This is just a furphy, okay? No one's ever died from treading on a piece of fruit. There's native fig trees that drop more fruit and cover more cars in figs, and no one's ever died. So we need to be really together and not fight, but share and inform and educate and entertain around these concepts. And when we entertain around these concepts, we can break down these fears and make this garden significant, not just in Randwick, not just in Eastern Sydney, not just in Sydney, not just New South Wales, but around the country. That other educators can come here and go, wow, Look at the symbolic nature of this stone and where it came from. Look at the garden edges. Look at the pavement. This is all recycled. Look at the way they've done the timber. That is an amazing education classroom. We can do incredible things now that this base is here. We can launch our next generation by instructing them and having them absorb and infiltrate by just being here, walking here, doing talks and workshops, and helping and getting them here at Permabees. So as a grandmother, as a grandfather, as an aunt, as an uncle, as a neighbour, bring people here, populate this space, because what Fiona and the team and what council have done by backing it is saying, this is yours. Good projects get used in ways that Fiona and the team and the council don't even think of. And when I saw what was going on at the coal loader the other day, they never realised that they were going to have kids scootering around, down the ramp and around in a circle. They never thought that they were going to get these things happen. That's the exciting part. And that's what enthuses me. I've seen it since 2010 when we first started with the rain gardens. I've been here at various launches over the years. I've seen and had Eastern Suburbs Sustainable School Networks awards in the classroom. The classroom is a cracker. And the fact that you can bring the schools here is just the most wonderful thing. I've seen all of these stages slowly come to fruition and down to 0 minutes, which generally gives, in Greek terms, maybe 30 seconds. I'm so enthused by this place that we got down here and we filmed it with gardening. We filmed here in Gardening Australia and shared it to the nation. And I want to keep sharing this place to the nation, not just there, but in every way I possibly can when I talk to people through the places that I go. So I really, I'm humbled to be here today because this is the level of community work that is going to build the resilience and the security on multiple levels. A community built stability and foundation that whatever changes come, when you've got a hub like this, when you've got a garden that educates like this, you know that as a community, you will have access to the people that will adapt to the change that's coming. Not as a Armageddon, but just as a incremental capacity to take things on board and say, all right, there's been a shift in the view, let's veer that way. And to all of you, I thank you for coming. It's great to see so many faces here. It's great to see multi-generations here. Remember that this is your space. Openings are just beginnings. You know, it's how we use it. Get down here, use it, share it, talk about it, tell the newspaper about it, put pictures up on social media and websites, and really drive this place to reach the capacity that it's designed to. Because it's been designed to, as Dr. Seuss says, oh, the places you could go. So congratulations to the community and everyone involved, because this is something I believe that's, as a model, it's nationally significant, and it's just a pleasure to know that it exists in our world. Thank you for coming today.